Okay, we're live. Hey, everybody. How you doing out there, kids? It's Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Welcome to the big show. It's Monday, May the 19th, 2025. Back after a 1 week hiatus. How you doing? Welcome all. Hope you're all going okay. You're doing well. Your family is healthy. Everything is working out. It's great to see you. Nice to be back today. Jennifer and I are just talking here a moment ago. Next week, Monday, is Memorial Day. I'll be on next Monday. I should be on, and that'll be my last show from the desert because next week will be the 26th. The week after that will be June, and we won't be here anymore. We'll be back in Canada. So we're coming quickly to the end of our winter getaway here in Rancho Mirage, California. And I can tell you that around here, it's awful quiet. I can tell you around here there's about 8, 12, and then another 8. There's about 20 condos around us, kind of near us. And I don't know if 5 of them are even occupied right now. 15 of them are dark. The folks have left for the winter, or they were rentals, like Airbnb kind of rentals or whatever, monthly rentals. They're all quiet, so there's not a lot going on, and there's several for sale around here now because this is the time of year people sell their winter getaways, and hopefully they sell them in this month or so, and the next people come in and renovate during the summer, and then in the winter enjoy. Who knows? Welcome all. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for those of you finding the thumbs up button for us. If you're watching on the rerun, please hit that thumbs up button for us. That would be terrific. Appreciate you very much for that. And I have a poll question for you today. I've asked a question of you today. If you want to take a look at it, it's basically a pretty simple question. When you're planning a cruise, are you also planning in some extra days of vacation time, either before the cruise or after the cruise? I guess for some of you, it might depend on how far you have to travel to get to your cruise ship. I mean, if it's out of Miami and you live in Florida, you don't need days before or after your cruise to have a holiday, I suppose. If, however, you're coming in from Chicago, you may want to fly in the day before just to be sure that you have an extra 24 hours to make your cruise. You'll spend one night in a hotel. But for some of you folks, I can see where you'd come down maybe the week before and land in Orlando and enjoy Disney World and Universal. How deep are your pockets, I guess? Especially if your cruise is out of, say, Fort Lauderdale. If your cruise is out of there, Orlando is perfect. On the other hand, you might come down just the day before, catch your cruise, and after the cruise is over, you'll spend 3 or 4 or 5 days after your cruise in Orlando, and then work your way back home. You can do that too. And then those of you who are sailing out of something like Southampton in England, in the UK, it can make total sense to me where you would fly to London from North America, for example. You would fly over to London a week before your cruise, and you would get 6 days, 5-6 days of time to get acclimatized to the time change, and end up with a train ride to Southampton maybe the day before, and that way you'll make your cruise without any problems whatsoever. At the end of the cruise, back in Southampton, if that's where it ends, I can then see maybe a one-night stay in a hotel or a train ride that day to maybe to the London area, to Gatwick or to Heathrow, depending on which airport you're flying out of. And then you would fly from there back to the USA. And you've got yourself a 2-week break there, a little holiday before, a little bit of London enjoyment, or maybe you've flown to London and gone right up to Edinburgh and done 2 or 3 days there, and taken the train to Glasgow for 2 or 3 days there, and then taken the trains, a combination of trains to Southampton, got your cruise in. That might have been a Norwegian fjord kind of cruise, whatever, and then back to Southampton and then back home. One hell of a vacay, I would say. Very nice. Yes, I suppose it depends just, where your departure point is, how far from home it is, how many flights will it take, how will you physically get from where you live to where you need to get to and back. That might dictate extra time. The more time, the merrier, I say. So, yeah, if you can answer that question for me, give me your thoughts. So far, 14 of you have kicked in already. Thank you. 64% of you say yes. When you plan a cruise, you do add extra days to your trip. Sometimes before, sometimes after, sometimes both. Thank you for letting us know. And if you can hit the thumbs up button at the same time, thank you very much. Give us a little momentum there. That would be very much appreciated. All right. Welcome all to the program. It's, like I said, Monday, May 19th, 2025. And see, May, so June, July, August, 3 months from now, it will be 8 years that this channel has been on the air. 8 years coming up. So, wow, time flies when you're having fun. Thank you for joining us. Brittany Anderson is here today, letting us know that I think her husband is on the way back to America from his overseas deployment, but there are flight delays and cancellations, so she's getting frustrated with that. Cruise Night Ships is here. Isaac from Waco. Hello, Bruce and everybody. Thumbs up. Thank you. Roger Holcomb is here. Hi there from Jax. It's 94 Fahrenheit back from Viking River Cruise around Bordeaux. I think you're from Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome, sir. Welcome now. I hope you had a good trip. That sounds fantastic. Before the cruise, we flew from JFK to Barcelona. We spent a few days and then a train to Bordeaux, came back directly from Bordeaux, ship to home, 18-hour journey. I can relate to this, Roger, because my daughter and I, Jennifer Jr., we were on a, I think it was, I'm trying to remember how many days this was. It was 11 or 14-day cruise. I can't remember anymore. We were on the Norwegian Jade, and the ship had left from Southampton, and we had been to Munich, and then we came back to England and to Heathrow, and we took a bus right to the ship. Got on the ship and landed after the cruise is all over through the Mediterranean. We landed in Barcelona, and I had plotted our return to Calgary, Alberta, Canada from Barcelona. And we got off the ship at about 8 in the morning, right to a taxi cab, went to the airport, had a 10:30 departure to New York City. Got to New York at about 1 in the afternoon, I think it was, something like that, because we were chasing the sun all the way across the Atlantic. Had to get from JFK to Newark to catch a flight to Calgary. And we had to do the rail thing. We did the rail, was at the Long Island Railroad from JFK to Long Island. I think it was the SkyTrain, the SkyTrain to the Long Island rail thing, and then from there to Penn Station, from there to the station in Newark, from there SkyTrain thing to the airport. And it might have been a train and then to the airport. And when we got to the airport, we were within 30 minutes of missing the cutoff to get on the plane because it's an international flight. And we ran through the terminal dragging our suitcases, and it was 80 degrees, 85 degrees. It was hot and humid and sticky. We got to the WestJet counter, and there were the two gals who were checking in passengers. There were no passengers being checked in. We were the last two. And they saw two people running, coming their direction, and the two of them were talking to each other and pointing at us going, I bet you those are the last two passengers we're waiting for. And sure enough, we got there. And you're the last two. You just made it. We're just about to shut the counter down. So, oh, thank God. So they took our bags. They said, the bags will be there. Don't worry. All the bags are in the back. Yours are going to be added now, and they'll go to the plane. And then we were told where to go. We went to the gate area through security, and we got to a Starbucks. And we were starving, and we were tired. And there were like 3 people in line at Starbucks. And then it was our turn to be served. And wouldn't you know it, the gal behind the counter was talking on her cell phone to her girlfriend while she's servicing customers. And I'm standing there, no mood for this. And I'm just looking at her going, and she looked at me and I said, there's a time and a place to talk to your friends. This is not the time. This is not the place. You have a job to do. Do it well. And she didn't get mad. So she got us our coffees and got us our stuff. And we had to carry that with us on the plane because we were ready for boarding. But that was a while ago. That was 2008. I don't know where that gal is now. I wonder if that gal ever got fired from her job. But we made the flight. And 5 hours later, we landed in Calgary. And we were home. And it took us approximately... Well, it was 8 a.m. Spain time, like Euro time. And that would have been about, let me think a minute now. That would have been about 6 and 2, 8 hours. So that was midnight Calgary time that we left the ship. And we got to Calgary at about 8 o'clock in the evening Calgary time. So that was 20 hours. 20 hours. And we were chasing the sun the whole way. And we got to Calgary just as the sun was setting. And that was a long day of sunshine because we got off the ship in sunshine, landed in Calgary in sunshine, 20 hours later. But then it took us several days to recover from that. That was something else. Anyway, welcome, Roger. Kirk Brunson. Hi, Bruce and TW family. Kirk from the Big Apple is here, and I'm at work, and I'm on lunch right now. Right on. Ms. M is here. Hello, L. Number 6 on the thumbs up meter. Robert Blend is here. Hi, Bruce from Boston. Last month, I cruised out of Fort Lauderdale on the Celebrity Reflection. I flew in 3 days before the cruise left the cruise and 5 days after the cruise I came back. And there you go. Now you're talking. Now you're doing it right. ALA, happy 2 to 4 day, Bruce. Happy 2-4 day. And all number 4 here. Was there more to that story you mentioned about the Canadians driving north on stock markets with Bruce? Was there not much more? Canadians are just they usually head home from here every year. Right around April 15 is kind of when they begin to leave. And by the end of April, I would say 2/3 of Northerners, which would include Canadians and folks from Washington State, Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, go right across, any of those folks who are driving down, they're heading back into late April. And by the end of April, they're out of here. And then the rest of them are gone by the end of May. Because around here now, our daily highs will soon top every day 100 degrees. We will soon get a consistent 100 to 110 degree temperature. And in July, this region will range from 105 to 115 for the daily highs. And only the locals are here for that. And of course, visitors from the coast who have property here and popping in for a weekend perhaps. But the snowbirds are gone, and it's nothing political. It's nothing personal. It's just the time of year, and it's just our turn at the end of the month. That's when we head him. Brittany, he is not coming back from overseas, but he's in Texas, and the guys are all going to be heading overseas at some point at the end of the month. Oh, okay, Brittany. I hope all goes well. I hope it all goes well for him. Welcome all to the program today. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are. Thank you, those of you who've been able to find the thumbs up button for us and put that on there. We already have now a total of 9 thumbs ups now. Thank you for 9. And we've got 15 voters talking about planning a cruise. Do you add extra days to your trip before or after? And yep, 67% say I do. Uncle Bruce, I do this. Very, very good. News for you today. A little bit of news. Saw something here about Norwegian. There was a first quarter financial report came out, and they had a sort of what they do is the management of the company likes to do one of these kind of meet and greets with financial analysts. They like to tell their Wall Street brokerage firms and investment bankers that they borrowed a lot of money through these firms for the cruise line to keep them alive during COVID. And they're always using bonds to finance the building out of new ships and so on. So they like to keep them posted on the financials of the company. In the case of Norwegian, one of the things they wanted to brag about was how well they're doing with bookings. But the other thing they wanted to really highlight, and this is what I wanted to tell you about, is that they're telling their Wall Street, let's call it their Wall Street overlords, that they're instituting and putting together a $300 million cost reduction program on an annual basis. Now, this is what they don't brag about to you. To you, the potential passenger, they want to talk to you about the new ships. They want to talk to you about the new amenities. They want to talk to you about the food services and the entertainment activities you have and their ports of call, and just, how glorious it's going to be if you're a passenger on Norwegian Cruise Line. To New York stock analysts and to the bankers from these investment firms, they don't want to hear about how great the passenger experience is. They don't want to hear about fancy food items or entertainment or anything like that. They want to know, how much money are you going to make in the next 3 months and the 3 months after that? And not only how much money, maybe they want to hear something like, how much more money are you going to make? Because it's not enough anymore to be a publicly traded company and make just as much money every 3 months as you used to make. That's not good enough in Wall Street. And Wall Street demands improvements every year. Financial growth is what they want. They want a stock price that keeps moving up all the time. They're not satisfied with the stock holding its value. They are satisfied with the stock rising in value. So one way to do it is to sell more berths, sell more tickets, get more people on board. And the other way to do it is improve your margins. And if you can show Wall Street that you're at 108% capacity, and now you're going to squeeze as much money out of those people as you can to the bottom line, that's what Wall Street wants to hear. That's where they're going, okay, now you're talking our lingo. And so there are 4 areas where Norwegian is telling Wall Street, here is where we are going to improve our efficiencies. I look at it as 4 ways to screw the passenger, to go after the customer, to get you to pay more, maybe and get less. I don't know. So what they're talking about here is lowering food expenses. They're talking about finding ways to lower food expenses. Now, there's a number of ways cruise lines can do this. They could theoretically, instead of offering you a New York strip loin steak in the dining room, they can offer you a Salisbury steak in the dining room. It's made of hamburger meat instead of top sirloin. They could offer you maybe a baked potato rather than French fries. Baked potatoes in bulk are cheaper. Maybe they can offer you mashed potatoes made from pre-hydrogenated dried potatoes. They can find ways to cut corners. They could produce gravy for your mashed potatoes by literally buying gravy in bulk, by buying the powder and adding hot water to it and stir it up and call it gravy. There's ways to cut food. Another way to do this game is to offer food choices during the day at the pool deck, for example, where you're at the pool deck, you're walking through there, you're hanging out there, and you can smell hot dogs right over here. You can smell burgers being produced over here. You can see a pizza oven cranking out cheese and pepperoni pizzas. These kinds of foods are cheap to produce. They don't require a lot of talent. They don't require a lot of equipment. They don't require a lot of ingredients that are very expensive. So the margins on this are very good. And if the cruise line can find a way to get you to cheat on your diet, and at 10:30 in the morning, 11 in the morning, you are having a hot dog or a slice of pizza. By the time it's lunchtime, you might go to the buffet, but you're only going to eat half the amount of food at the buffet because you're kind of full already. You're not like starving. That's one way to play this angle. Another way to play the angle, of course, is to take away free food offerings, to offer fewer items for free. And what you do offer for free is of a lower cost quality, introduce and integrate higher expenses by having you pay for food. So you may find that Guy Fieri's barbecue restaurant that's free at lunchtime, but you have to pay at dinner time, might now have a lunchtime fee of $5 instead of free. So now you got to spend $5 on your room account to go in for barbecue chicken or something like that. They can play games like that. They can offer more food offerings that cost you money rather than what you get for nothing. They can also, of course, at the dining room, the main dining room, play a little game where they have a 2-page menu. The first page is everything that you can order from the ship kitchen that's included in your fare. And then the next page or two are items that have a surcharge. So this item is $8, $3, $9, $15. So if you want filet mignon, you can get filet mignon in the dining room, maybe, but it'll run you $35 instead of free. There's ways to play the game there. Lower fuel expenses. They're talking about lowering fuel expenses and are already bragging about how they're doing this. This is not a Norwegian issue either. This is Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, and Carnival. That includes, of course, Holland America, Princess Cruises, everybody. What they're doing is they're enhancing their offerings to all cruise passengers now for these private islands that we've talked about in the Bahamas, for example. More and more of these private getaway beach-type islands and resorts are being developed and being enhanced to not only handle one ship a day, but now 2 or 3 ships at a time per day. And on the island, they're offering water park experiences for an admission. They're offering food choices for free, hot dogs and burgers and pizza. But they also have the nicer stuff over here that you pay extra for. But the key to this whole thing is not that they're trying to enhance money out of you from their private islands. They're enhancing savings from fuel costs because the islands from Miami and from Fort Lauderdale and Port Canaveral are a half a day sailing away. Might even only be 4 or 5 hours away by ship. In effect, there are Bahamian island resorts that cruise lines like Disney and Princess and others operate that are only 90 to 100 miles off the U.S. coast. And so it doesn't take as much fuel to get to these places. So the cruise line might take you to Nassau, like to have a sea day, and you'll go to Nassau for the day, whether you get off the ship or not. If you do get off the ship, you're going on ship excursions that they're putting together. And then your next day is a sea day, and the day after that is one of these private islands that they're running. Well, the entire cruise that you're taking, by the time you get back to Miami, to the mainland, you may have only traveled 700-800 miles. You haven't traveled 2,000, 3,000 miles on a distant cruise anymore. There's a lot of that going on. The cruises to Alaska, you got to go from Seattle or Vancouver up to Juneau, Ketchikan, whatever, Skagway, and then back. Those are so many thousand miles max. They're not like 5,000-mile cruises, a couple thousand miles. And they can do them at less than top speed, which is another way to save fuel. So you run locations once you get to Skagway, and then you get to the next stop and the next stop, next stop. It's just overnight. You're cruising at 10 knots, 8 knots an hour at a low speed, which is very efficient fuel-wise, and you're conserving fuel. It's not a race at top speed to get somewhere. A lot of different things there on the fuel side. Lower payroll. This game. You noticed as we all have now in the last 3 years, Norwegian has cut back staff. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Your room stewards, do you even see your room steward anymore? Some of you don't. You meet your room steward on the first day, and when you leave, but you never see them in between because they're down handling 20 cabins instead of 12. They're running around like crazy. They're working, crazy hours, and they do your room once a day, if that. There's been cutbacks all over the place on staff, all over the place. I suspect that musicians have been cut back. I suspect that entertainment has been cut back. The so-called days of the 15-piece orchestra are over. There are no 15-piece orchestras on cruise ships anymore. A lot of it is recorded music, DJ type music, and so on. And lowering overall costs. Another way to lower overall costs as a general game plan is to reduce staff at head office, introduce more AI for services, perhaps trying to do their accounting with more artificial intelligence than human being, contracting out some of their services. Instead of hiring people on a payroll, they'll contract out their call center to a call center contract company or what have you. But another way to reduce costs when it comes to the cruise ships and what concerns you is you may find that as the time goes by now, that a cruise ship doesn't go into dry dock every 5 years. It goes into dry dock every 6 years. It's an extra year of wear and tear. And what they'll do is they'll do onboard painting and onboard patchwork after the second, third year to kind of keep the ship running another year. And because the mileage on the ship is down, because their total distance traveled over the 5 years has been dropped by 30%, they can go another year on the wear and tear of the engines and so on. There's that kind of thing. So this is what Norwegian is talking to Wall Street about. They're not talking to you about it. They're not going to promote it in their videos. You're not going to see it in commercials. Who is it? Is Eric Stone Street is the actor? You remember the guy from Modern Family? Yeah, he was Cameron in Modern Family. He's the spokesman for Norwegian these days. And it's all about fun and onboard activities and food and drinks and entertainment. But in reality, behind the scenes, the company is desperately trying to cut $25 million a month in expenses to show Wall Street that we can make $300 million more in profits next year than last year. And you can't do it by putting another 20% capacity on the cruise ships. They're already sold out. They're oversold. And so it's already a sardine-packed experience in some cases. Now, if you're staying, obviously, in the upper end of the ship, that exclusive high-end area, you're not going to be drowning in people up there. You're going to have butler service. You're going to have excellent service. But you're also paying top dollar. I mean, you might be paying $600-700 a day per person up there for that experience. Whereas if you're on an inside room on deck 5, and you're on a balcony on deck 7, you don't see a room steward for when you want them. Well, that's just too bad, because there just aren't as many of them anymore. And if it takes longer for your food to arrive in the main dining room where it's free to eat more or less, again, that's cutbacks. And if the food offerings are not of a high end anymore, that's another way to kind of figure out where this is coming from. It's giving you less for just as much money, and they're going to try to raise prices on you anyway. That was Norwegian. That's what I wanted to mention today. Not a happy topic, but realistic as to what kind of is going on over there. Richard Carlin is here, number 10, thumbs up. Susan R., hey all, I'm number 13. Thank you, Bruce, for explaining how companies are always looking to increase their bottom lines each year. Roger Holcomb, number 15 on the thumbs up meter. Thank you all for coming through for the thumbs up meter for us today. And thank you also for taking the time to read my question of the day and give me an answer. 16 thumbs ups are now in here, and we have 19 answers to the question of the day. When you are planning a cruise, do you add extra days to your trip before or after? 68% of you say yes, indeed. That's exactly what we do. It's a good idea to try and do that because, number one, during the winter time, you're trying to get to a nice warm, you want to go on a nice warm tropical cruise out of Miami, but you're coming down south from Canada or from New York or Buffalo or Cleveland or Chicago. You need that extra day, because who knows that the day you want to fly, the day your cruise is leaving at 5 in the afternoon, you figure I'm leaving at 7 in the morning from Chicago, I can make Miami. Flights are canceled, flights are delayed. There's a mechanical issue with your plane. Who knows? Too many one-offs can get in the way to screw it up. So you really want to take an extra day at the very least. Take some of that pressure off to make it on time. Those of you coming from Europe, no question, you want to come in at least a day before, if not several, because of the time change. The worst thing to have happen is to land in the USA and to be not feeling too well because of the time change, jet lag, and now you're getting on a moving boat. That's not a good combination. Not going to make for a good cruise. So you may want to add some time. Hey, JJ says, Uncle Bruce, with international visitors to the USA down, do you expect to see more last-minute cruise deals? Yeah, I am. I'm kind of wondering how many calls are coming into the cruise lines lately and going forward now with cancellations, where a number of Europeans will not come over after all. They have cancellation insurance for any reason in Europe, perhaps, and they might decide the way the atmosphere is in America that certain countries' population just don't want to come over right now. It's possible that cruise lines may be offering last-minute cruises because of last-minute cancellations. That's always possible, and that can be out of anywhere. It can be out of Seattle for Alaska cruises. It can be out of Vancouver, British Columbia for Alaska cruises. It can be out of LA or San Diego, San Francisco for any of the cruises to Hawaii, or cruises down to Mexico. There aren't as many in the summer, of course, as the winter, so don't be looking for that. Cruises out of the Miami area, Fort Lauderdale, and Port Canaveral to the Caribbean go all year round, and there could well be some real bargains popping up there. It's possible. But on the other hand, the cheaper the cruises get, they pop them up there on the websites, and they might just get snapped up by Americans who find a deal they can't refuse. But if this goes on for a long time, if this isn't just a 2-week, 3-week, 3-month thing, this goes on for a year, then you're going to see some definite discounting. Maybe you'll find cruise lines beginning to offer freebies. They'll hold their rates up here without discounting the actual cost of the cruise, but they'll throw in gratuities, or they'll throw in a $200 cabin credit, or maybe a $50 excursion credit, something like that, just to kind of as a little add-on to get people to jump. But eventually, price deals can happen. Eventually, yes. Anyway, there it is. Brittany says, "Hey, you should get to trivia if you don't want to lose your thumbs ups." Thank you, Brittany. I have actually another story for you, another cruise story that I want to bring up to you. And you may have read this today. I think this is a brand new story. It has to do with a ship right here. Let me show you the ship I'm talking about. It's this one here. There you go. This here is called the Silver Ray cruise ship. This is a luxury 6-star cruise liner. This is with Silver Seas. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Silver Seas part of the Royal Caribbean family? I think it's one of their lines. Silver Sea, the Silver Ray ship, handles 728 guests. They probably have about 400 crew on board. It's 800 feet long. It's not a gigantic monster of a cruise ship, but it's fairly luxurious. And you can see here, just looking at the side there, I can make out about 4 decks of balconies, maybe 5 balcony decks. I have a suspicion that this ship only has outside rooms, no inside rooms. It's rather expensive to be on this ship. Well, the story goes that this particular ship was caught by several photographers doing this. You notice, take the shot there. Look at that shot right there. You see that? Those are 2 pictures, one on the left, one on the right. And that is the Silver Ray cruise ship down in Capri in Italy. Much too close to these rock formations. Apparently, when it happened, no one was alerted, and no alarms went off with the Italian Coast Guard. But tourists on shore caught this cruise ship going by these phenomenal formations. And here's another shot of these formations from just at another time. And they're stunning. I mean, no quite. Capri is absolutely incredible. It's geography. Look at all the private yachts that go here. If you run a private yacht and it's 200 feet long, you have no problem getting a lot closer to these. But if you're running an 800-foot long cruise ship, even at 3 knots, really slow speed, this is dangerous. Apparently, this ship was at least 500 feet too close to these formations. And apparently what ended up happening was that a few folks sent the photos of this ship near those formations to the Italian Coast Guard and said, hey, what are these guys doing? These guys are reminding us of what another captain did once. You remember this ship? You remember this one right here? That's the Costa Concordia cruise ship. That's a Carnival ship right there. That was a 1,000-foot long ship with 3,000 passengers on board. And it was going at a couple of knots and went past a little town in Italy called Giglio. And it ran into an underwater rock formation. And the one of the boulders that it ran into was what ended up being dislodged into the side of the ship. Here's the boulder right here. Look at the life raft there right beside the ship, and look at the size of that rock. That sucker is 20 feet long, and that one was detached by the ship. It snapped off after slicing it open like a sardine can. Here's another shot here. Maybe this. Let me see if I get another shot here. Here's another shot here of the size of that gash in that ship. That ship lost. Was drowned in water. That was flooded in water in minutes, and all the electricals were wiped out. The engines conked out. All the lighting conked out. All the pumps conked out to pump out the water. This ship was in serious trouble within minutes, and within 15 minutes she was doing this, and within half an hour, this was the final result of the Costa Concordia. And the only reason that this ship is lying on her side beside rocks that you can see there on the bottom left over there is because when the ship was originally gouged by the rocks, she was going the opposite direction. She was going in 180 degrees in the opposite direction. And you can see again on this side of the ship here where the gouge mark is. And the wind was blowing to shore, thankfully. The wind was not blowing out to sea. It was blowing into shore, which made this ship catch the rocks on this side of the ship right here. As she was headed, I think she was headed in the northerly direction. And she immediately flooded, and then she tilted the other direction, which is this direction, as she spun around, and the wind then blew the ship towards the shore. And she ended up on her side in about 40 feet of water, 50 feet of water. But just where you see those pontoons behind the ship there? Just where those pontoons are is the cliff where the water goes down 700 feet. And that ship, when it came to rest, happened to cradle itself on a shelf of rock, the edge of a cliff, that had it been blown out 200 or 300 feet into the open water, would have gone down 700-800 feet. And instead of 33 deaths, there could have been 500 or 1,000 deaths or more, because this was absolutely scary. And it was a miracle that only 33 people died. So when this ship right here was caught by tourists photographing the rocks being that close, they were wondering, what the hell's going on? Don't these people learn anything? Don't these Italian captains get it? What's with these guys? You don't sail close to these kinds of formations, because there are rocks just under the surface here. They're not just sticking out of the water like this. This is scary, scary stuff. There have been a number of cruise ships over the years that have gotten caught with an underwater, rock formation. And I know there was another cruise line or lost a big ship back in the 90s that sank over 2 days. They couldn't save her, and down it went. So anyway, this captain has been fined. The cruise line has been fined. The captain's been put on notice. If I were a passenger on that ship, I would thank my lucky stars that we averted disaster. The good news was, I guess, the saving grace was that this was broad daylight. And so the captain was not sailing past these formations in the middle of the night. Well, why would you? You wouldn't see them, of course. That makes sense. So he was doing this in broad daylight, and he could tell that he felt he was safe enough. But gusts of wind on an 800-foot long ship can drift it over. You can put your thrusters on all you want, but if your thrusters take 30 seconds to fully ramp up and fire up, you may have moved in another 400, 500 feet, and you're moving forward and moving over at the same time. You're coming right into some of these formations. It's scary how quickly these can catch up to you. And like this ship here, you need only catch a little bit of the ship under the waterline to do it in. This did not require a gash 20 feet above the waterline. This was under the waterline in the dark. And that is why there's this picture right here. This was the image of the ship as she was going down. And the lifeboats were only available on this side of the ship, not the other side of the ship. Because, of course, the ship was lying on her side like this, and a lot of those lifeboats got damaged as they were lowered down here. And you can see the ladder coming down, and people were coming down on ropes. It was terrible. 33 deaths for no reason. Anyway, there you go. That's the second story of the day. I just thought I'd bring that up for you because it just seems to me that these cruise lines, it's 17 years. It was 2012 was when the Costa Concordia sank, January. Here we are, 2023, 13 years later. If this captain is 30 years old, he was 17 when the other one went down. He wasn't an adult when it happened. If he's 35 or 40, then he was 27, but he was a junior officer at the time. Not paying attention to history. These guys, you got to wonder, what is it with these people? Every 10, 15 years, we have another incident like this. Ridiculous, just ridiculous. All right, just saying. Are you ready for trivia? Welcome to the show tonight. Glad to have you here. Karen, my husband and I recently took an 11 o'clock night cruise. We took an 11-night cruise from Fort Lauderdale to the ABC Islands on the Celebrity Beyond. Our cabin was serviced by a cabin steward twice daily without fail, and that is not Norwegian Cruise Lines. That is Celebrity, 5.5 stars, not cheap, not as cheap as Norwegian, definitely of a higher caliber. And I will say too, Jen and I, we had a wonderful experience on the Queen Mary 2 on our 3 cruises last summer. We had a regular balcony room. We weren't in anything fancy. We were in an average room. We were looked after by our steward. We saw him at least 3 times a day. He was great. Karen, and we had a regular outside cabin, no balcony. Celebrity also has a wonderful 8-piece orchestra, which plays all the time. Ms. Britt Nashia, hello, everybody. And Brittany, see you next time, Bruce. Take care, Brittany. Cruise ship nights, even getting all kinds of perks like onboard credits, drink package, and internet free. Fantastic. That is good stuff. Look, guys, there are cruise lines that do it right, and there are cruise lines that are not doing it right. I believe that if you are trying to cut your way to prosperity, you're upsetting your client base. You're not giving the cruise experience everything it could be. And I have a feeling that Norwegian might win today, but lose tomorrow. And you can only cut back so far until you cannot cut back anymore. And I have a feeling that Norwegian is desperately trying to pay off their bonds as best they can, because at the moment, with the US dollar falling in value against world currencies, it does make cruising cheaper for foreigners. That's true. But it also means that Norwegian runs into higher costs for their international ports. And interest rates are going to go up. The US dollar is going to have to be defended with higher interest rates. And that means these bonds that Norwegian will issue going forward to roll over their old bonds into a new series of bonds, because every year you got so many billions of dollars to refinance. This cost of refinancing will keep rising for Norwegian, which puts even more pressure to make more money to pay the bankers. So it's a race to the bottom, and I don't think that's a good thing for the cruise line and its passengers. Just saying. Now, Royal Caribbean is firing on all cylinders, they believe, and Celebrity is part of it. And then there's Carnival with all of their various cruise lines at various levels, and they seem to be hanging in, although the rumor has it that the Costa line is now down to 7 or 8 ships. They used to be at 12, 13 ships. Now they're down to 7. And one wonders if they're cutting that cruise line out. Are they going to eventually merge it into something else? Are they going to merge it into Princess? Are they going to merge it into Carnival? Are they going to sell it off to MSC? What's going on with Costa? Because Costa seems to be shrinking at the moment. We'll see. Carnival, of course, is just ordering larger ships now. As you've noticed, the Carnival ships are getting much, much bigger. And so Carnival brand will be around for a while yet. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me. Are you ready for some trivia today? I've got some trivia questions that I put together for you. I hope you like them. Let's see what we can do here. Let me double check and see how this is going to go. Here we go. I'm going to put my magic pencil to work so I can mark off the correct answer. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read you a trivia question. You give me the answer. There are going to be multiple correct answers to each of these. Send me one correct answer at a time, and don't cheat on Google. I'll throw you some hints if you guys get caught on any of these. We've got a couple of different topics tonight. The first topic has to do with our friend, Mr. Tom Hanks. Who isn't a friend of Tom Hanks? Everybody loves Tom Hanks. I mean, why not? Can you tell me all of the movies that Tom Hanks has made that have exactly 2 words in the title? I want to know if you can tell me 2-word Tom Hanks movies. He's made 13 of them with 2 words in the title. I'd love to hear if you can tell me the titles, the names of the films that have 2 words in the title. All right. ALA is thinking Castaway, Bruce. That movie, Castaway, I think so. 2000, he made Castaway. That was the first movie I ever bought on a DVD. My first DVD movie was Castaway. No, Castaway on here. It's two Castaway. Because I think they didn't call him a castaway. He was cast away. Oh, Auntie Jen got, oh, that's interesting. ALA is wondering, Apollo 13, is that a 2-word? Yes, it is. 1995, one of Jen's most favorite movies of all time. She's seen it more than twice. ALA is now coming in with Forrest Gump. Yes, Forrest Gump, 1994. Forrest Gump, he won the Oscar for that role. Turner and Hooch. Turner and Hooch, I think, is 3 words, even though the symbol is just a symbol for the ad word. But that's 3 words. Roger went with Forrest Gump, and you are correct. One of his first movies in 1984 was 2 words. The second word in the movie was called Party. What was the name of that movie? Something Party. Anybody know that one? 1989, he made a movie. It was titled The Blank. What would the second word have been in that movie? The Blank. I'm trying to remember who he starred with. I think he starred with the same actress with Sleepless in Seattle. Who was that actress? Meg Ryan. I think she was a co-star in the movie The Blank. Bachelor Party, Benway. Yes, Bachelor Party was the first movie in 1984. One of his first ever 2-word movie, The Blank with Meg Ryan. In 1995, he played a cartoon character, so you only hear his voice, but it's a 2-story movie, and it was one of the biggest, and there have been spin-off after spin-off after spin-off ever since. In 2004, he played another movie that had the word "the" and then something in the title, um, and it's something to do with killers. Does anybody know the name of that movie? Benway, hey, thank you for your work, Bruce. You're welcome. Toy Story, says Karen. Yeah, Karen, Toy Story, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the Toy Story, exactly, Toy Story. In 2004, he played a movie that took place in one place, in one building. The whole movie, practically all of it, like 98% of the entire movie, took place in one big building. And he had to live off of hamburgers and Subway sandwiches for a while. He was in this building for almost a year, I think. Captain Phillips, Pete is wondering. Yes, 2013, he played Captain Phillips. ALA, the terminal. Yeah, the terminal. He was in the airport terminal in 2004. That is correct. In 2011, he played a guy that got laid off from his job, and he went to college to try to learn some other skills to be rehired in the real world. Anybody got a clue on that one? Roger's coming in here with Green Mile. Yeah, Green Mile. That is another one. Absolutely, that he did. I don't even have it on this list, but yes, that's another one. Thank you, Roger. He got fired from his job. He couldn't believe it. He was in the Navy, and he was a cook in the Navy. And he never got a college degree. And because he didn't have a college degree, the firm he was with put up an excuse to let go people that they can't promote after so much time. And they dumped this guy. And he went to college, and he was riding a little Vespa motorbike to school every day and got to know a bunch of other college kids. And Julia Roberts was his teacher in public speaking in this movie. And one thing led to another. And well, let's just say the next year when he went back to college, Julia Roberts wasn't his teacher anymore because you can't have a teacher and a girlfriend be the same person. So he didn't go back to her class anymore, but he kept bumping into her from time to time. Another way to say that, Roger the intern. No, that's not Tom Hanks. Not on the list because the Green Mile. I think this quiz that I'm reading you may have been done at a certain cutoff point, and this movie came out just after. But that is a correct answer, the Green Mile. On the other hand, it might have been called The Green Mile, and maybe that's why it doesn't show here, because I think that's a two-word movie, but one never knows. There's another movie he did in 2012 that was two words. The first word I'll say is blank. The second one is Atlas. Blank Atlas. Does anyone know that movie? And another one of them was a movie about the Washington Post newspaper. It was all about the administration of Richard Nixon trying to hide details about the Vietnam War, and that was a big hint I just gave you, in case you're not listening. Anyway, the movie I'm looking for, where he was a worker at a big store like a Walmart, but in the movie it wasn't a Walmart, but they made it look like a Walmart. He was working in a Walmart. He got fired, laid off, let go. He had to sell his house, and he went back to college, and he studied mathematics. Does anyone know what movie that is? Roger has come up with The Post. Yes, the movie The Post, the Washington Post. Yes, that's 2017. Another movie he did was something about a round sphere. The title of the movie had to do with a round sphere. That's your hint on that one. And then Cloud Atlas was the other one that no one was guessing. Larry Crown is the name of the movie with Julia Roberts, where he was the laid off worker. Lurie, ALA is thinking, are you talking about the movie called The Sphere? I'm saying, no, that's not the name of the movie. Nice try, though. You're paying attention, but no, that's not it. We have one left here. The Lady Killers is another movie from 2004. None of you got that one. And we've got The Intern. No, not The Intern. The last one is called The Circle, and that came out in 2017. Those are the Tom Hanks two-word movie title movies. that we have today. All right, let's go on to the next quiz today. Let's see how you do on this one. This one here has got a few more, a whole lot more possibilities for correct answers. So let's see how you do with this one. Tell me, if you can, the name of the countries that have the most buffaloes. Can you name the 5 countries with the most buffaloes? Yeah, this should be fun. Buffaloes. What countries have the most buffaloes? 5 of them. Love to find out if you know what I'm talking about. USA and Canada, neither. You're cheating. I only want one at a time. Neither is correct. Unbelievable. I think Canada has bison. America had buffaloes, but America doesn't have enough buffaloes to count anymore. Isn't that amazing? What countries have the most buffaloes? Not Canada or the US. They don't count. Can you tell me which countries have the most? Well, actually, let's do buffaloes first because I don't want to mix anything up. What about South Africa? No, they're not on the list either. What about Thailand, Bruce? Nope. Lure ALA. Really, I think bison equals buffalo. And sorry, I can't help you. Karen, New Zealand. Nope, they don't rank in the top 5 either. I will give you this. One of the countries is in Africa. The rest are in Asia. Sorry, what's that?
No, I was just surprised in Africa.
Yeah, 1 in Africa and 4 countries in Asia. India, yeah, India is number 1 for buffaloes, believe it or not. Now, these could be water buffaloes. These could be water buffaloes. Those that are not bison buffaloes. Because I'm looking at this country's list here, and I'm going, yeah, those water buffaloes, they have those long horns on each side. They use them for hauling wagons and stuff like that, right? Poland, no, that's not in Asia, but Pakistan is number 2 country is Pakistan. India followed by Pakistan. That's 2 of the top 5. 3 more, 2 in Asia, 1 in Africa. The one in Africa is in the top northeast corner of Africa. Yeah, it is the north end of Africa, the far east at the top there, with the Mediterranean Sea. And they also have some very large structures that were built in 5000 BC that are still standing to this day and are a big tourist draw. That country has a lot of water buffaloes. Egypt? Yes, it's Egypt. Yes, they're number 5 on the list. Well done. The other 2 countries are China and Nepal. They have the most water buffaloes. All right, let's go on to another one. Let's talk about cows, cattle. What countries in the world have the most cows? Tell me the countries with the most cows, okay? Let's find out what we have. Cow countries, baby, cattle. Looking for the top 5 cattle countries. Who do you think has the most cows in the world? For beef, McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and Texas barbecue and all these other places. Well, ALA is thinking the USA, baby. Yes. America, number 3 in the world for cows. Botswana, says Susan. No. Canada? No. Brazil? Yeah, number 1 in the world is Brazil. Number 1. Double the number of cows that America has in numbers. And that's something. Argentina is number 5. Brazil, we have 2 more countries to go for cows. One of the countries won't touch the cows, won't do anything to them. They're religious and they won't eat the cow, but they'll let them live. Anybody know? AU, Germany, South Africa? No. One of the countries has a lot of people in it. The other one has a lot of people, but they won't eat the cow. They let them walk the streets. They view them as a holy entity. India is the country. That's right. The second highest country for cows is India. They don't eat cows. Isn't that something? Susan, you got it as well. The number 4 country has the second most people in the world, and it's China. ALA, you nailed it. It's China. That quiz is done. All right. Chickens. Who's got the most chickens? Which country in the world has the most chickens? Let's find out the top 5 chicken raising countries on the planet. KFC. Where does KFC have the most locations? I mean, come on. Popeye's chicken and Chick-fil-A's and I don't know. ALA thinking China. What about China? Yep, number one for chickens. All that Chinese food with chicken in it. Yeah, they're number one by far. Is New Zealand? No. The USA, number two in the world, with all those KFCs and Chick-fil-A's. Yeah, Americans love chicken. Poland? Does Poland make a lot of chicken? No, not Poland. Three countries. Think very big populations, and then you'll find it. The countries with the most people generally produce the most chickens. It's not France, and it's not the Philippines. Nope. Good guesses, though, on both of them. We've got 3 to go. Any more clues coming in here? India, yep, number 5. They're just on the list. Indeed, Susan and ALA, you got it. And then there are 2 left. These 2 countries, one of them was in the cow business. They got lots of cows. They also have lots of chickens. And the other country is in Asia with 700 million population. This country in Asia. What country has 700 million people in it? A series of islands. There's Brazil. Very good. Cows and chickens. Number 4 for chickens. Number 1 for cows. Argentina. Nope. Looking for an Asia country now. One last country. It's Indonesia. Indonesia, 3rd highest chicken producers in the world. Unbelievable. All right, let's move on. We've done enough with animals. Let's move on to the next question. Now, this one caught my attention, and I thought this would be kind of a fun quiz to give you, because there's the obvious answers, and then there are the not so obvious answers to this question, which I'll bring your way. By the way, thank you again for 26 of you now coming in with answers, with an answer to my question of the day, and 24 of you hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you. We got, when you plan a cruise, do you add extra days to your trip before or after? 65% say, yep, we do. We add more time to our cruise specifically for that purpose, before and after the cruise, to get there before and to enjoy our time, and you bet. All right. Here we go, kids. Tell me the countries of the world that happen to have the most Subway restaurants. You know, the Subway subs. But I don't want the countries that have the most locations. Oh, no. I want you to tell me the Subway restaurants that happen to have the most locations for every 100,000 people. I want to see a concentration of Subway restaurants in countries. Now, think about countries with smaller populations that might have Subways, and that would have a higher per 100,000 ranking. But also think about countries with the most, and likely they'll be on the list as well. So now Japan, first answer is Japan, question mark. Would they be on the list? They are not on the list. With 80 million people, there aren't enough Subways. There are Subways in Japan, but not with 80 million people. They don't rank in that one location for every 100,000 residents. Netherlands, Bruce. The Netherlands, what about them? Yes, they are, out of 30 countries, they came in at number 29. They have 1 location every 500,000 people. And they're near the bottom. Susan is thinking about the United Kingdom. The UK, Bruce. Let's take a look at the UK. Yeah, 0.93. So they seem to have a location for about every 110,000 people. So far more than the Netherlands. You need 500,000 folks from the Netherlands, I guess the Dutch, to get a Subway location. But they're 2 correct answers. What about Canada? Well, Canada is number 2 in the world. For every 100,000 people, there are 6.38 Subways. So if you got a town, you got a city of 100,000 people, there's likely 6.5 Subway restaurants. You got a city of 600,000 people, there's 10 Subways easily. Oh, more than that. A million people, oh my gosh, there's got to be 60. It's a huge number. Yeah, Canada's drowning in Subways. There's another country drowning in Subways, fairly obvious to all of you. By the way, Australia is number 5, 4.36 per 100,000. So every 20,000 people, there's another Subway. In Canada, it's like 12,000 people gets you a Subway. Every 12,000 gets you a Subway. Yeah, Canada loves their Subways. So does Australia. They're in the top 10 each. Think about other countries like Canada, Australia, where you speak English, you live a Western lifestyle, standard of living is a little higher. It's a casual place. It's not going to the market and buying a carrot and getting by for an hour. It's a meal, but it's a meal that you could make at home. Kind of, you could, but it's kind of convenient just going into the fast food restaurant. What countries have the most Subway restaurants per 100,000 people? Give me your best guess, and let's see what we got. New Zealand is a question mark. Yeah, 3.6 stores. So about every 30,000 people, every 28,000 in New Zealand, you got a Subway. Yeah, Auckland, 5 million people in Auckland, New Zealand. They got to have a ton of them up there. Just dozens of Subway restaurants. Yeah, just as popular, almost not as popular as Canada, but pretty heavy. Japan has been asked here, and we've done that already. Japan has not worked. What about Portugal, Bruce? Portugal for Subway restaurants. Nope, they don't even make the top 30. The USA, Kirk is saying, good old America. Yeah, it's number one. 6.58 restaurants for every 100,000 people. So I got to figure about 14,000 people. You got a Subway restaurant. Yeah, Susan R. Switzerland. They've got a nice standard of living in Switzerland. Do they happen to have a good number of Subway restaurants in Switzerland, or are they eating a higher quality food than we are used to? They don't make the list. Subways just aren't high enough in a food standard. I suspect what it is. It's nothing personal, but I believe in Switzerland, the meat that Subway uses wouldn't be allowed in the country. What does that tell you? It's not high enough. There's too many additives, too many artificial ingredients, too mechanicalized. Switzerland won't let it in. That's probably the reason why their Subways don't matter there. What about España? What about Spain, Bruce? España. How are they doing for Subway restaurants? Same thing. The Spanish food quality standards are probably too high for Subway meat to get in there. And of course, if you're going to use the meat that qualifies in Spain and Switzerland, you're probably talking $15 a Subway, not $5.99 a Subway sandwich. In America, Canada, we don't even want to know what the ingredients are on a Subway meat sandwich. Subway. Do we really want to know what that is? I don't think so. Susan, I laugh a lot. I'm glad I always order tuna. Yes, indeed. Always glad to eat tuna. Some of the worst numbers are Norway, Taiwan. You need like 700,000 people to have one Subway restaurant. I mean, they just don't go there. It is just not going to catch their taste buds. What about Mexico? Robert Blend is wondering, is Mexico on this list at all, Bruce? Let's take a look for Mexico. You need 400,000 people for one Subway restaurant in Mexico. I'm going to guess Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Puerto Vallarta, the big metropolitan cities with lots of tourists. Yeah, they would have Subways. ALA level. You haven't even been to a Subway in Canada recently. They're expensive now, Bruce. What are they now, 10, 12 bucks a Subway? They've gone up, haven't they? We had one in Creston when we lived in Creston, just one. But it wasn't like drowning in customers. It was steady, but was rarely a lineup in there. Interesting. Luxembourg, you need 500,000 people in Luxembourg. I bet you they only have one. Malta, I wonder if they have one or two restaurants. Venezuela, I don't know if they've got 5 or 6 because Venezuela's currency is useless. What about Brazil, Bruce? Question, Brazil, are they on the Subway list? Nope, they're not. With the number one cow manufacturer or producer in the world, they probably have higher grade meat than Subway can produce, and they're not going to produce it. So, Panama needs 300,000 people for each Subway. El Salvador needs 300,000+ people. Belize and Germany need 350,000. There's a lot of Subways in Germany, especially Berlin. But I would bet you in the small towns of Germany, you won't find one. There won't be any out there. Finland, You're going to need 250,000 people to produce a Subway restaurant in Finland. Singapore, 0.52. I found this really interesting, that for every 200,000 people in Singapore, you've got a Subway restaurant. There are 5 million people in Singapore. So I'm thinking, hey, there's got to be 25 Subways in Singapore. And that is, they must do, I wonder though if the Subway sandwiches inside the Subways in Singapore have a lot of different style sandwiches available, not the North American that we're used to. I suspect they're much more localized over there. Just a guess. Costa Rica, you need 180,000 to get a Subway going. Qatar, 0.58, probably 250,000 people. Kuwait, you definitely need almost 160,000 people to get a Subway restaurant, but there's a few there. Bahrain, kind of the same number. Trinidad and Tobago, it's 1 for every 100,000. Ireland, 1 for every 100,000. United Arab Emirates, 1 for every 100,000 people. I think there's 4 million in that country, 4 or 5 million. There's got to be 40, 50 Subways, probably at the 2 airports, Abu Dhabi and in Dubai, and the big shopping malls in Dubai, you'll find Subways. Grenada, you only need about 80,000 people. They might only have 1 though, because I think Grenada only has 80,000 people. Antigua and Barbuda, I think they only have 1 or 2 locations, 1.46 for every 100,000. St. Kitts, Nevis, same thing. There might only be 1 or 2 locations in all that country. And then Iceland, 5 locations for every 100,000 people in Iceland. I don't know if Iceland has 1 million people. I don't know, but they must have 10 or 15 Subways. And the last country on the list is the Bahamas, 5 locations for every 100,000. I believe Nassau is almost 400,000 people, so they must have 20 locations in Nassau. And those are the countries that have the most Subways per 100,000 people. Interesting stuff. I've only got 1 quiz left for you guys. 1 quiz to go. And we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. Thank you for 29 voters who have put in their answer. Whether you add days on top of your cruise, either before or after, 66% of you do that. And 27 of you now have hit the thumbs up button. Thank you for helping us out today. Thank you for being with me today. Here's your last question of the day. Can you tell me the countries of the world, this is the top 20 countries of the world, where you will find the most British immigrants from the United Kingdom? What countries of the world do people leave the UK to go to the most to become immigrants? What are the top 20 countries in the world that attract people from the United Kingdom? Let's find out how you do on that. ALA is thinking Canada. That is the fourth largest, 603,000 Brits live in Canada, number 4 in the world. ALA, USA, number 3 at 678,000. Number 3 in the world. ALA, Australia, number 1. 1.3 million Brits live in Australia. 1.3 million, by far the favorite country. Robert Blend, Spain. España, they've got timeshares down there. They got condos down there. 761,000 people from the UK immigrated to Spain. Yeah, they're trying to become a Spanish citizen. Isn't that interesting? Canada, USA. Susan, what about Italy, Bruce? Italia, are they attracting folks? Nope, Italy does not rank in the top 20. France, what about France? Yep, they definitely are number 10 at 200,000 UK residents living in France. Yes, indeed. Other countries, think about countries that speak English, that live a Western style of life. What countries would this be? Cruiser girl, what about Mexico? Mexico, Bruce. Do you think there's a bunch of Brits trying to immigrate to Mexico? Nope, they're not trying to move there. Malta, Bruce. Malta, the island in the Mediterranean. Malta. Nope, they don't rank in the top 20. There might be Brits there, but they don't rank. What about Cyprus? Cyprus, number 12, 59,000 from the United Kingdom want to live in Cyprus. Yeah. New Zealand, number 9 or so. 215,000 are going to New Zealand. 1.3 million go to Australia, and 200,000 have gone to New Zealand. Bermuda, Bermuda is not in the top 20, although Bermuda is kind of British. But nope. What about Greece, Bruce? Here in in Europe, in Greece, nope, they're not coming to Greece in numbers. You need at least 34,000 to make this list, and Greece does not get there. They might be in the top 30 or 40, but they're not the top 20. I'm still looking for the fifth highest country, the seventh highest, the 11th, and then all the countries from 12 to 20 have not yet been guessed. Some of these countries have a very good standard of living, and the Brits like to live in a country with amenities and services. What about Grand Cayman? Grand Cayman is a territory of England, so that won't count. It's not its own separate country. Portugal, though, would. Portugal could count, and we have it here. Number 17, 38,000 people have chosen Portugal to immigrate to from the United Kingdom. Ireland is number 6, or number 5, right behind Canada. Ireland, 291,000 people. The British Virgin Islands, BVI, that could be a British protectorate, and it's not its own country. Germany, I believe it's on the list, number 11, actually. 115,000 folks from the UK live in Germany to immigrate there. We only have one top 12 country left, and then we have a bunch in the bottom 12. Take your best shot. Where would the folks from Britain consider living? It's surprising, some of these countries, actually. Some of the lowest ones: Turkey, 34,000, China, 36,000, believe it or not, Thailand, 41,000, the Netherlands, 44,000, Israel, 44,000. I found that surprising. But then this next country didn't surprise me because of the very high standard of living that some of the Brits want to move to. Susan, you're beating me to it. I was just about to say, Susan, I was about to say Switzerland, and you typed it in. Switzerland is in the top 20. 45,000 folks from Britain are trying to immigrate into Switzerland, are doing it. Bucko is correct with Singapore. There are 45,000 Brits in Singapore. It's very British. Indeed, British, Chinese. We've got it. Thank you. Croatia. What about Croatia, Bruce? No, it doesn't rank. Austria, that's a wonderful country, but it's not attracting Brits like Switzerland does, interestingly, or Germany. Austria is not in the top 20. I don't think there's anything wrong with Austria. Pakistan, though, 47,000 are trying to immigrate to Pakistan. The United Arab Emirates, 55,000 are trying to get into the United Arab Emirates. That's where they live. And the last country on the list is actually number 7 or 8, South Africa. United Kingdom, they want to move to South Africa. 212,000 of them are there. And that is the list of the UK largest countries that UK residents are going to try to immigrate into, starting with Australia, followed by Spain, USA, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, France, Germany, and Cyprus. Those are the top 12, or the top 10, sorry, most popular countries. There you go. People from around the world sometimes want to move somewhere else. It could well be because of marriage issues, where someone from the United Kingdom marries someone from Australia, and now they want to move to Australia, and they're immigrating into Australia. I'm sure there are Australians who marry UK people who want to live in the UK. I have no idea why compared to Australia, but they do. And I'm sure with America and Canada and with Spain and Germany, there's people meet and fall in love and get married, and they want to move into one of the two countries. You've got immigrants. I mean, that's natural course of life. It is what it is. Anyway, there you go. I hope you enjoyed today's trivia. I hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. Thank you for joining me today from wherever you folks are watching from. It's much appreciated. We've had 30 of you give us a thumbs up today. Thank you for that. And 32 of you gave me a vote today. 69% of you are telling me that you do book extra holiday time around a cruise, sometimes before, sometimes after, sometimes both. 69% of you do that. And that's a smart move, I think, certainly from a logistical point of view, to work your way to a cruise ship or from home from a cruise as well. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Have a great rest of your week this week. Any relative you bump into, give them an extra long hug this day. You never know when it's the last time you'll give someone a hug that you love. So make sure you do that. Join me on my other channel every morning, 8 o'clock for Gold Bagel members, 8:30 for anyone else. Stock Marks with Bruce. I look forward to seeing you folks there. Have a wonderful rest of your night tonight. Take good care. We'll see you tomorrow on Stock Marks with Bruce, and we'll see you here next week, Monday, Memorial Day, for some more cruise ship news and maybe some trivia. Hope you're having fun. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you all. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Cruiser Girl, Bucko. Thank you to Roger Holcomb. Thank you to ALA. All those answers today. Robert Blend, Susan R. Thank you, Kirk Brunson. Robert, thank you again for being with us today, all of you. Charlie, thank you. And who else was here? Richard Carlin was here today. Thank you. Appreciate all of you who popped in to say hi to us. JJ, Brittany, Karen, thanks. You take care, everybody. We'll see you next Monday. All the best to you. Bye for now.